Welcome, I'm Brian Durlow with Frog Creek Partners. Today I'm going to show you how to put together a multi-platform filter gutter bin stormwater filtration system. This is the MPF that we're going to be referring to. Here are the parts of the multi-platform filter, MPF, and here are the tools that we use to install it. So let's go through the parts here. Here we have the filter hanger, and this is the receiver of the filter hanger of the MPF. This is the backsplash. It comes flat, packed flat. These are the chains. Vacuum truck friendly, the VTF locks that we'll put in the very end. These are the chain hangers. These are the gussets. This is the anchor bolt. They're always 1/4 inch stainless steel. All of these parts are 304 or 316 stainless steel. This is a cleat to hold the handle. And then this is our gutter channel. That's gonna go on the MPF to filter water in. The Mundus bag, this is a 13 inch because it has an orange handle. And then the hoop, Mundus hoop that will go in there at the very end. So these are the parts of the MPF gutter bin stormwater filtration system. Here are the tools that we use to install the MPF. Starting on the right is a hammer drill. I like the Bosch Bulldog. It's very sturdy, works well, plugs in. You can also use a cordless hammer drill. It doesn't work quite as well, it doesn't have the power, but it can be used. Then you have a 1/4 inch masonry bit. You want a cutoff saw, an angle grinder. I like these Diablo metal cutoff for cutting this right here, or you can use whatever your preferred alternative is. We'll need a level, bullet level, a marking device, Sharpie works great, a hammer, I like the geologic hammer style, a punch of some sort. I like the 1/4 inch tip metal punch. In a pinch you can use a screwdriver, not recommended, but you can. You'll need a 1/4 inch driver of some sort, whether it be a wrench or a socket set for your anchor bolts. You need some pliers, measuring tape is handy, and for final fit up you might need some silicone to seal in any gaps. So your MPF may become pre-assembled to some degree. This is an MPF that is not assembled one bit, so I'm going to start from the beginning. Here we have the backsplash that is packed flat, and it's going to go right in here. It doesn't matter if it's like this or if it's like this. It goes both ways, but I'm just going to bend it of sorts and get it pretty close. There. So now that's through on all sides. You want to make sure it's all the way through. Okay, now that we have no gaps between the filter hanger and the backsplash, I'm going to take and these little ears on either side, I'm going to bend those over so it's going to lock that into place. Okay? All you do is just 1/8 of a turn or so, but there's one on every device that goes through. So now I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those ears I've bent over, and now the backsplash is attached to it. Then I'll prepare the chain hangers right here. I'm just gonna bend that out. You can bend it in, you can bend it out, whichever way you wanna go. I like to bend them out, bend out all three. Then you're gonna see on either side of the filter hanger, if you want vacuum truck friendly bag, which this bag happens to be, there's gonna be some VTF locks. See that right there? So I'm gonna take this. And you knock out that little thing right there. So now you've got those. Okay, so now we've got it all situated. We've got all these tabs bent. Before I get too serious about everything, I'm gonna want to put my chain in through the hole and then bend it around, and the end of it's just going to attach to that. Then I'll take the tab and I'll bend it over. That chain's gonna be locked in place right now, okay? So I'll do that on all three pieces. Now here we have a demonstration platform. This is just a typical frame that we use for testing, but I'm going to demonstrate how this can be put in a corner right here. And normally this would be a frame of a catch basin. It'd be much deeper, but this is for demonstration purposes only, to show you how we set one of these up. Now we're gonna look at, let's pretend on this particular catch basin, the water is going to be running in from this direction and from this direction. Sometimes these storm drains are configured where water only comes in from one side or from two sides. If it came in from all four sides, then we would need a different filter hanger, a drop inlet filter gutter bin. But here for demonstration purposes, we're gonna install this right here. Now, what I wanna make sure is this gutter channel that's going to be up against this side, is it's going to tilt down. We're gonna want our level here to make sure that we've got a nice little, at least a half a bubble drop. When we put this on there, we want that bubble. There's level. We're gonna want that down at least a half a bubble, or the bubble all the way to one side, because we want the water flowing in from this side to hit that and flow down into the gutter bin. I generally put a nice steep one on there. So we have these little ears right here. Sometimes we're gonna reconfigure this part where this ear is a little bit closer right there, but we're gonna have to cut this off right there to bring that close. So you can see this fits right in there, like that. Okay, and we have another piece that's gonna go right on over there. But let's go ahead and get our filter hanger affixed to the side of the wall. And so what we're gonna take is, we want at least 2 concrete anchor bolts holding this against the wall. You can do up to 6 if you want to, but I typically put one right there and one right here, and you can put one in here if we want. But I'm just gonna do 2 today for demonstrations. I'm gonna mark that spot with my marker. Make sure you measure the depth. You don't want to go too deep. We want about a 1/2 inch of this showing. So I can mark on here. I can take a piece of tape. So what I've done is I've marked this drill. So I'm still gonna have about a 1/2 inch showing. Once I hit the tape, I'm gonna want to stop. And obviously this is gonna be concrete. When we really drill it, this is not gonna be wood. You know what, before we drill that, let's just make sure that's sitting level. Yeah, we got a nice level there. So before you mark those, make sure you set level. Okay, now I have that set. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to So if you set more than 2, I can still take this off because I can rotate it out like that. But you know, you can face problems if you don't have your nut in deep enough or your bolt in deep enough that you're not able to take it off. So just be careful of that. But now that I've got those bolts set, I can go ahead and spin these on loosely. I don't want them on there too tight, just finger tight, just so it's going to be holding on. And remember, we're going to be in a dirty hole when we're doing this, so it's not going to be all bells and whistles and roses here. So this is a nice clean environment. Now what I want to do is I want to cut this to length. You know, that could actually, we could, you know, one of the unique aspects about the gutter bin is it's very forgiving, especially this MPF. I am going to do a little something different here that is unique about the gutter bin. I'm going to go ahead and bend this down. You can just put your, like that. Just because this is the perfect length right here to get to that. It wasn't planned. But what I have is I've got a clear opening. I do not want this channel to overlap that receiver because it'll be hard to get the bag out. But normally what I do is these hammer tabs are going to be inserted into that, that slot right there. But because I don't want to cut, I just want to save some time, and also it's going to be perfectly good. I'm going to take this gusset. Here's our gusset, okay? Now what we do is we can take it's got a bend line right there. See that bend line? I can go in and I can very easily bend that. And I want it about a 90-degree angle, right? So what I can do is I can place this one. I have bent these over, so it's going to create a stopping point for that. I could even do something as clever as this, is I can put that gusset in between those two. See how it's in between those two? That way that channel's not going to go one way or the other. Or I can put it on this side, or I can put it on this side. But I'm going to put it between those two, right there. And then I want to make sure I've got a good level on this. Okay, I'm off. It's up against the bubble. Now I want to make sure that I very carefully mark that spot underneath there. Okay, that one's marked. Now this one over here. So I see it's coming in like that, but this is too long. See how this overlaps? Now if I leave it like that, I'll never be able to get this hoop in and out. So I've got to trim some of that off of there. And I'm going to measure the distance from right past that edge, from the edge of the wall here to about a 1/2 inch past that hammer shaped opening. So that's 8.5 inches. Yep, that's gonna be just about right. So 8.5 inches from the wall to a distance about a 1/2 inch past the opening on that hammerhead. And I wanna make sure these are very close to the end because I'm gonna bend those down. So now I'm gonna take this, mark that, and now I'm gonna cut that off. I have a chop saw in the shop here today, so that's what I'm gonna use. But typically, I would run that line. You could even cut it off like that if you want to, but I'm just gonna do a straight line like that. Okay, so this has been trimmed up. And I've taken the burrs off of that. There's no reason to have sharp edges out here, so you cut your fingers. I always wear gloves on this. But again, look at this thing. You've got the hammer heads facing down, and you've got this backsplash picking up. This is what I call the cornice back here. So when the water comes in from the side, it's gonna hit that and flow down. Now, one thing you wanna make sure of is, I didn't mention before, is when you cut this, you're gonna wanna make sure it's not gonna be flat, it's gonna be up just a little bit. So you have to account for that. So I'm going to stick in this, I'm gonna bend these down. So I started like that, and then I bring in the punch from the top. I'll finish by, so you bend those down a little bit. Now we slide this in from the side. I didn't quite do enough. I want to make sure those things are good. They're bent to complete 90 degrees. See that? You want to get 90 degrees. And those are going to slide right in the hammer tabs. Okay, look at that. That's perfect. So that's a good level. I don't know, you can't see that from there, but it's a good level sloping down right there. Those hammers are cocked in there. Now I'm going to take the gusset, I'm going to install it in here. I'll drill this, knowing that my level is correct. Stopping at the tape there. Okay, I insert this. First take off the nut and washer. And normally I'll have to hammer that in here, but this is a wood demonstration table. And this is the one time you have to get underneath there, but so this is gonna slide in. And remember, we staggered those. So the gusset is going to, see that angle right there? That matches that angle right there. So it's gonna line up perfectly. I wanna put that between those two. Perfect. This particular configuration only has one piece of gutter channel either way, but this could run out 20 feet or more, or you could run out another piece. But what you do is you'll just overlap. You'll make sure you've got a good slope here, but you can run these out into perpetuity, but you're gonna wanna make sure you have a shingling effect. Make sure that the upstream gutter channel overlaps the downstream gutter channel, okay? You can see how that looks. So if water's gonna be running this way, this one overlaps that. But every gutter channel, I'm gonna wanna put a gusset. I've got a gusset there, and I wanna put a gusset right here, okay? So we support the weight of each one at the overlap. Pretty intuitive. Just loosely, I still wanna be able to move this filter hanger around for final fit up, so don't take them in all the way yet. Okay, so that's like that. Okay, so now I've cut this one piece for that side. I bent down the angles, or the hammerheads. I bent the hammerheads down on that one. They're ready to go in. First off, I will put this gusset on. Remember, I've bent this 90 degrees. Make sure you bend it so when you're in the hole, if I bent this the other way, it'd be in a dark corner. So bend it so when you put it down in here, you can actually see what you're doing. These nuts and bolts are gonna be, or the washer and nuts are gonna be facing me if my head is. Okay, so that's just loosely on there. But if my head is right here looking this way, I want to be able to see that nut and washer. If I bent this the opposite way, they'd be back there and I wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, so now I'll take this piece, because this is slightly loose, I can fit it in there. Boom. It's got a nice angle right there. Water's gonna come in, and that's not going anywhere. I can't push that way, it's against the wall. Can't push this way because the hammerheads are jammed up in the notch. And this piece, another way you could do this is cut this right here, bend those hammerheads down, and lock them into the slots that are right there. But then you'll need another piece of gutter channel out here. What I've done is kind of saved a step and material. So now, because the way I associated that gusset is going to fit between those two hammerheads, I'm going to go ahead and spin that on all the way on, so it's nice and snug, finger tight there. And now that's a pretty good fit up. So I've got that. I'll slide that in just a little bit. And then right here, I'll put those on finger tight too. All the way. That has a nice good slope. Okay. It's gonna look a little wonky because we're setting into wood right here instead of concrete, but that's gonna be a nice tight fit up when we're in the field, because that's gonna suck it up nice and tight. It's not hitting real tight because it's in wood. But that'll have a slope that goes down in there. We have a slope coming in here. We do not have overlap either way around, so we know that a hoop can go all the way in and all the way out. So that's set up. Now what we do is, you can see on this cleat, there's two little angles right there. I'm gonna choose a spot. I can put it right there, or I can put it right there. It goes in. You can put it on the inside or the outside. I generally put the cleat coming in from the outside, but those two little wings, I bend one that way and I bend one the opposite way. So it's gonna come in. Make sure you have it pushed all the way through before you do any bending. Now the cleat is solid, sitting right there, so that's gonna hold the handle. Now the final piece of fit up for this is the chain stays. And typically we're gonna have a wall kind of running up on one or more sides of this, or we might even have a ceiling. This, we're going to set a concrete anchor bolt. Come up here, find where you want the chain to hang in, and how these work, let me just show you. Very simple, it's just a chain stay. I'm gonna bend this outward. See that? That's a locking mechanism. What's gonna happen is that chain can go through this, it can come through this hole, either way, and then now it's locked, because it's got that little notch right there, see? And once it's set in that spot that I want it, I can bend this down, and it'll be locked in place. It can't come out one way or the other. But first, before I do that, I want to see where I want to hang these. And sometimes I'll have this chain, I'll kind of pull this filter hanger, like if I've got a wall over here that I want, we've got water coming in from this side right here. So we may not want to affix it to this wall. We might want to do it off over here if there's a wall right here. So say we hang one right there. This is probably the most important chain. If you only hook up one chain to your system, make sure it's this back one, because when that bag weighs 200 pounds full of sediment, you're not going to want just these two anchor bolts holding it. These are going to be your main anchors of holding the weight of whatever's in the bag. This is going to be an attentional force. This is also going to be a tension force. So you can hang this thing from the ceiling, where it comes up and goes through, or you can hang it from a wall, either way. But go up and drill your hole with your drill, come in like that, set your anchor bolt, tap, 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 and so you've got a good firm anchor. Bring your chain up, it's gonna go through that hole, and then once you get it up on that wall, make sure you give it it's holding the whole weight of it. So then once you've got your chain through there, you got a nice good weight, press that down, and it's gonna be holding back there. I'm gonna do the same for this chain and for this chain. All right? So, using your best visual aid, you've got one or more chains hanging that from the back. And then you've got your Mundus bag, okay? I showed you this before. Take off your strap right there. You roll this out. Typically they're sewn on the bottom, you've got a handle. So this is reversible. There's a handle on the inside of this bag too, you can pull it out. But I put both handles on the inside. I take that. And so the hoop is on the outside. I'm just gonna roll that over. Boom. Like that, okay? And I'll tighten up the overflow. If this bag, if I want to pinch it up a little bit, if it's a very shallow catch basin, I might want to pinch this up a little bit. So I'll squeeze those tight. I'll take my strap. Notice it has two colors, yellow and the orange. The side with the loop, a loop I'm going to put towards the bag. And make sure you got a good secure like that. Boom. Now that bag can only fill down to here. Make sure your anchor bolts are nice and tight and you've got a good surface here. Boom, boom, like that. If you want to, if you got some gaps that you want to fill, you can take your silicone, fill any of these gaps if you want to, it's up to you. Make sure you have a good slope on this. Like I said, this is just a platform, but normally we want that slope coming in, okay? Take your 7/16 inch wrench, tighten up your anchor bolts. If it's creeping out, if the anchor bolt's coming out, then give it another tap with your hammer so that anchor in the back of it expands like that. Okay? Now for the final fit up. This bag is sitting in the hole. Got the two handles. So you just drop that right in there. And sometimes I like to do this, but it's up to you. But that's gonna come over the back like that, so it gets it out of the way. The water's gonna come in here. Then I'll take my two VTF locks, these locks, they go in, you rotate them a quarter turn, so they go in quarter, and then they just rotate and fall into place. They're a gravity lock. I'll do the other side. And that's it. That's that bag. Can't come out. You can come up with the vacuum truck. You can suck it out. Later on, if you want to clean it by hand, you remove these two out of here, set them aside, pull the handles off, you pull it out, you dump your bag in a receptacle, then you put it, or you can pull it inside out if you want to. But that is how you install a multi-platform filter, gutter bin stormwater filtration system. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a call if you have any questions.